In each and every generation of leaders, there are young people who are a voice to their fellows. Well, on this particular discussion, we'll be looking at the political issues in relation to the young people. Our topic for the day is political revolution. Joining me on set is Dan Orogo. I bet I got it right on that name.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yes.
my name. Yeah,
Is it right for me to say you are on the side of the Kenya on the Move?
I am the convener of Kenya on the Move
Right.
political platform.
Okay, many thanks for joining us.
Santi.
Yes, of course, next to him we have Pigbin Odimwengu, who is the party leader of Accountability and Transparency Party. I hope I'm right. Many thanks for coming on board. So, gentlemen, we begin this conversation, the political revolution. Is it an assumption that is there, or are we experiencing a political revolution? Done.
Well, I think it's first of all, let me congratulate you guys for doing a good work.
Alright.
I think this should just go on record for the purposes of appreciation. That there's a good work that is really going on in terms of educating Kenyans, in making sure that everybody receives the information that it is. It's a good, serene environment, and happy to be here. I think Mahesh is also happy to be here. But then, in the spirit of the discussion today, I think in the nature of political revolutions, one of the things that we discussed offset is that we know that complete political revolution begins by liberating people's minds and making sure that the voters are politically active and aware of the circumstances that are facing them, for them to begin to make an effect on the change. We also understand that the key drivers to political revolutions lies on the leadership of individual leadership, individual ideologies of change, and political parties, or rather political parties and institutions. So when you asked about revolutions, I presume that revolutions in terms of regime change, in terms of bringing a new ideology in the platforms of governance, in the platform of political leadership, and generally the outfit of change in the country. So I believe is possible, but the realistic bit of it is that as a country where we are marred with negative ethnicity that are so ingrained in the minds of Kenyans, that requires a number of initiatives to take place. And I'm privileged to have a political leader, which is quite interesting to hear the side. But I'm believing that systematic change and education and political education, and speaking to the mind and the spirit of Kenyans, then it will reach a time where we will have a revolution that is coming from Kenyans themselves in their leadership structure.
Right, Jim, let me bring you on board. Dan has mentioned about systematic change, and when we are talking about systematic change, this involves primarily the voters. Let's talk about young people. Would we say that there's some sort of a revolution from what they expect from their leaders?
Thank you, Alex, and also want to thank everyone for this. And I'll say yes, a political revolution is key, and the country is in that process. As every politician is preparing for the next election in the next few years, or two or 1.5 year time, everybody's planning, and of course there are already preparations for this. But such revolution will not be successful if young people will not be factored in. And it won't be effective if young people will not drive that revolution. I'll hit to the core that each generation has a reason for something. And I think the 50 years for the first generation of leadership is done, or was done by 2013. We need to have another generation of leadership now in the next 50 years, which is a different breed of leaders who can transit to the other generation and leave a better country for us.
Are you the people that
Yes, and that's what I'm telling you, it must be spearheaded by young people, and it must involve young people. It will be effective if young people will be leading that revolution, but might be successful if young people will only be supporting that revolution, because wherever part young people will fall into will be successful. but for their own benefit and for the benefit of the society, young people must lead that revolution, and young people must be in that net system, because they are the majority of the poor people, they are the majority of people who suffer, and they are the people who know which country do they want to live and the country they want to pass over to their generation to be. So they must be active in that, and of course it is there already. And that's why I'm telling you, to the young people in this system, the young people are the engine of this revolution, and the young people must be the drivers to this revolution. If they do it, if they combine that, we will be well off. But two things. One, in the mental revolution, it's necessary for this political revolution, mental revolution. The system and the regime has given not even young people, but everybody enough reasons to go against this government and to oppose it. There are several reasons that you don't even have a manifesto to convince anybody why we should get off this current leadership. Just that there must be an organized system to coordinate all this effort in a proper way, or else we might be fighting the same effort in a different angle. Then those whom we are fighting against might find some space there and take off.
The failure, the better side of your discussion is the failure primarily by the system that is currently there, or rather the leaders that are already there.
Sure.
Let me talk to you, Dan. Yeah? When you're looking at the failures of the government, do you think that as young people there's a way that we're failing?
The way we are failing? Well, let me also try to recap what my colleague has talked about. Look at all the political revolutions that we've seen. If you want to attest to the fact that it's something about, it's not really what will happen, but I think it's about when it will happen. We are staring at a country in our neighborhood where we have the likes of Bobi Wine, just at the neighboring country, already starting up a revolution, and it's becoming successful. Okay, we are having up here in Ethiopia, there's a serious political revolution happening, except the fact that led by activists, except the fact that the Prime Minister Abiy Mohammed is a bit autocratic in it. So therefore, the conspiracy with the Ethiopian government and the media has sealed that we in Kenya are not really seeing the revolution that young people are doing in Ethiopia. In Sudan recently, the overthrow of autocratic leadership of Omar al-Bashir was spearheaded by young people and women, up in Egypt and Tanzania, same as, So for us as a country, we are actually at the point where we are at a point where it is a matter of when. But now, going back to the question that you have, because I would really want to link it, is then why are we failing? Or not really failing, why are we taking longer as young people to start up that kind of revolution? And I like what my colleague talked about, that at the center of a political revolution then comes young people who are informed and who've seen the need for such revolutions, right? And in our country, the kind of political leaders young people we are seeing is quite fathomable. And I'd mention a few. I'll start with Babu Owino, okay? And I would ask if he is a political leader and he embodies a leadership quality of young people. I would go to Jaguar, I would go to several young people that we are seeing, and Kenyans are thinking they are political young leaders. But the bad thing is that they were elected to represent the interest of young people, but have failed to do that. So there it means that how we are into this panel, what we really need to be conversing about, what do we need to inject in young people to make them politically aware that there is, apart from us electing other people who are betraying the cause, what is it that we really need to embody? Accountability, transparency, keep the drive going, innovative. And that's why I begin by congratulating your studio, because the innovation we are seeing is quite at another level. I wish that this would be injected as people think about innovative in leadership, innovative in communicating for change, innovative in movement building, innovating in building youth-based political parties to rule. So if we just pump into it very few, then I think young people will come to a level of political revolutions without not really causing the harm. Then there is, sorry, before I come, there is another thing that we are forgetting about political revolutions. That even as we go through the process of revolutions, we shouldn't do harm. You know, it should not kill innocent other young people, you know. It could not kill ideas. It should be devoid of riots and death and bloodshed, you know. So how then would we use the creative spaces that we have to communicate the agenda and to cause change? Yes.
I love that. Before you even respond to that, I have a question, because Daniel mentioned about accountability, transparency, and very many other things. Pigbin, do you think young people are fully informed, as Dan has said that we are having an issue with information? Would you say that our young people are fully informed in terms of the revolution, or just appearing for rallies?
Allow me to say first that, of course, the need of a revolution is not even a matter of information, it's a matter of experience. Young people are hit hard by the economy, and everything is not to their good, so they don't even need information of this. One thing, that's why I focus on a political party, it needs an organization, a proper organization to execute that revolution. That's the only thing that will help us a lot. And that proper organization must also provide an alternative government when we are trying to revolt against the current regime. That alternative government needs a lot of structures. It needs a lot of who is going to be the next MP somewhere else as we take away this MP. Who is going to be the next president as we take away this president. So it's a matter of having an organized revolution. Of course, some people will say revolution are never organized or successful revolution. And I will tell you there's a difference between success and effective. And that's why I insist on, as young people will be the drive and the engine to this revolution, they must offer themselves as an alternative leadership to the next government that will be there. And that leadership cannot come if they don't have that political space where the political parties dictate that leadership. I'll touch a lot on what he says on harming our fellow young people. I believe, and I have advocated, that our party is a revolutionary party, but we believe in a peaceful revolution. And that revolution is a revolution by ballot. That we only need two things. We only need to register as voters and have ID. Then wait 2022 and vote those people out. We don't need even to fight. But these need a united youth front. Not a Kalenjin versus a Luo or versus a Kikuyu. It's youth fighting for their own problem to liberate themselves against those who have for long oppressed young people. So this is a key aspect. That's why I still insist on a proper organization. If we don't organize ourselves well, in one voice, and one voice that is for us, no matter how many noises we make out there, we can never be effective.
When you say about effectiveness, do you think Kenyans, and specifically young people, are ready for realistic politicians who have upholded their characters in the right manner? People who are after performance. Do you think young Kenyans are ready for that?
Oh, of course, if you are suffering these consequences of poor leadership and everything else, you must be ready for that, unless that alternative is not properly provided.
Right.
So one thing which must happen first, and that's why I insist much on political parties. You know, Kenyan system and any politics around the country are based on political parties. Mm-hmm. So if a political party will, first of all, have numbers of people who have adhered to the ideology of that party, then it is the work of that party, like what you are doing in our party, to ensure that moving forward we build the capacity of those leaders so that they can have that what you are asking. So that it is not even a matter of a voter choosing or checking whether the person has this, but it is a responsibility of the party to insist that our candidates have these qualifications. That's the only thing we can provide to them.
Right, Dan, from what I'm getting from Pigbin, it's about political parties and the effectiveness. Do you think political parties have played their role effectively?
When you're checking through the website of original political parties, I checked that this morning and I saw there are 78 political parties registered. Remember 78. And when I was consulting with my colleague, he alluded to the frustration that the political parties that are owned and driven by young people are going through to be registered or to be certified at the Office of Register of Political Parties. But there are 78. Okay? Those are fully registered. Just imagine that. So you are if you go out.
So you're saying there are still other provisional?
Yeah, there are other provisional ones that are not.
Provisional registration. There are those who are going through provisional
Yes,
registration. There are those who are fully registered.
They are fully registered. So when you're looking at that list, you're imagining the many number of political parties that we are having, few known for what they're actually doing. Okay. So if you go out on street interviewing Kenyans and you ask them how many political parties do you know, mention a few of them, or those that you know, or as many as you know, probably the list wouldn't even reach 5. I can guarantee you this. Most of average Kenyans, but there are over 78 as is confirmed. So the question is then, what happens to the other political parties if average Kenyans know around 5 or 7? It actually informs you that there are bulk of them that are seated there waiting for something we don't know. Okay? That is the reality. Waiting for something we don't know. And we shouldn't know as Kenyans, what are they always waiting for? Until the drumbeats of political elections are called, then you see people becoming active right now. The one thing I like about my colleagues' political party is the activeness, recruitment, capacity building, outreaches. If you look at the Political Parties Act, I think the vibrancy of a political party is in the activities of what they do. Not really when it comes to election period. Of course, election periods activate political parties. But after, this also goes for leaders of political parties as well. Somebody like Abdu Badida, you only see that guy when people are now beginning to go for presidential.
But he's very active on Twitter.
But listen, be active on Twitter and all these kind of. What I'm talking about is political activity. His political activities he can tell you that he was in other regions, either capacity building or recruiting on the ground, not on Twitter. You understand? So I think that is what I mean. That if you want to answer that question, then you look at the activeness of political parties. It's providing information, it's reaching out, and also providing what he said, alternatives. If we are into this kind of political quagmire, right, instability, where everybody is confused about BBI, everybody is confused about hustler versus dynasty, everybody is confused about 2/3 gender, then it is in the basis of political parties to go and inform the public and educate the public of what this is all about. And Senior, one of the things that you should actually looking at is the political parties fund, okay? One of the amendments that I would really propose in the constitution, should there be a real constitutional discourse change, is, you see, the law is limiting other active political parties from using that funds to do something that is effective, okay? That is another serious gap that we should be talking about. And you know what? That gap, I think, that clause is, for me, my interpretation that it is basically put there with the intent of providing, a limitations for political parties that are women-driven and are youth-driven. Because the moment you don't give these political parties that fund, you're inhibiting their activities on the ground. So I think when you're asking about the performance of political parties, I would tackle it in terms of their vibrancy on the areas that I've touched on.
Yes, please.
Allow me to talk of political parties because I've been engaging this part. One thing I'll tell you from the funds he's talking about, those funds are only available to political parties according to how many members who are elected through that political party. That's the first thing I want to say. So parties who have not reached election are not funded. That's the first thing. But you check the next thing, the requirement for you to fulfill the full registration and certification of a political party is that you have 1,000 members in 24 counties and open 24 offices. So 1,000 members for a political party, surely, how hard is that? That's why we'll be having over 100 of political parties who have qualified for 1,000 members. But at the end of the day, they stop there. Second thing, they're being used for business purposes. When it comes to 2022, many people are going for party certification. And these are the people who sit somewhere and start selling certificates. They use their party to sell certificates to people so that they can get back their money. But you see, at the real sense, even up to date, even those parties which are none of them has offices in 47 countries and active in all 47 countries. In fact, they are region-based or two region-based political parties. And that's why it
it's to my surprise that parties can exist for over 10 years and have not reached some part of this country. While at my personal level, I've been trying to use the social media where I got young people first. And we have used, if I tell you the foundation of this party, it is a party driven from a WhatsApp conversation of young people, chatting online to meet physically. And by now, before even certification of provincial registration, we are in 47 counties to all wards, with a representative to all wards. And in fact, our target is to open offices in all 47 counties. One thing which a political leader must do, and when I was talking about leader, is one thing. You must get out of your region to work. I'm planning to work in all 47 counties and before 2022 in all wards, so that I can reach every ward in this country. But you cannot be a leader seated in Nairobi to be a national leader in Nairobi, or your party is a regional based.
Okay, let's change gears because of the constraints of time and look at the issue of dynasty politics, of which Dan, we have had this conversation time and time again, asking ourselves, how do we change the mentality of people? Let's talk about generally young people.
Yeah.
Do we still have that weakness in terms of the dynasty politics syndrome?
You want my views on that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine. I would give you the views I keep on telling you. You know, us being hustler and looking to meet our basic needs have been confused, you know, by a section of politicians who want to hoodwink us, young people. And again, this is to young people, to join that fray and try to, you know, for their own political expediency in the guise of thinking they're reaching us. You know, a real hustler doesn't need a wheelbarrow, okay? He needs an opportunity to invest in the businesses, right? A real hustler needs an opportunity because, Alex, I think this is a discussion that is so pertinent to me. The last time you asked me about the employment while we were marking International Youth Day, I talked about it so passionately. And I said one of the issues that Kenyan government has put young people into the lens of doing manual jobs. And it's so painful that when you talk about young people, you're talking about people who are, cleaning gutters. You're talking about young people who are collecting garbage. You're talking about young people who are tamaking from industrial area to Kibera. And young people who are in the skin industry doing very manual jobs. You're always forgetting the young people who have been qualified at the Kenya School of Law and have upgraded as very qualified lawyers. Young people who have finished their universities and tertiary institutions and colleges and are in white collar category looking for a good job. Nobody talks about these young people at the caliber that we've talked about. Therefore, the hustler and the chief hustler targets a section of young people here, leaving another section of people who are, you are not holistically into that. So all this political of hustler versus dynasty has missed one very important component of reaching out to the citizens and the constituency of young people,
Right.
who we've talked about. So I really like to plead with Kenyans that wherever there is an uprising of a political party, like what Senior is having here, for young people, driven by young people, it could be appealing for citizens to go back to ask, really, for years we've been voting these parties, no change. Could we begin to consider and look at what is it that Accountability and Transparency Party do? What is it that other political platforms, what is it that Kenya on the Move are advocating for? What is it that creative spaces like this are talking to us about the new ideology? So I think that has been my view, and it's been very consistent about, yeah.
Yes, that's very right. Let's hear from you, Pigbin.
I'll say, let me echo what you say. Of course, you miss a concept, but you see, there's what is marketable. And there's a saying goes somewhere else. Somebody has two reasons to say something or to do something. One that appear good and one that is real. The tags are what appear good, but they don't show the real intention. And that's why when we started Accountability and Transparency Party, we had to remain with our tag, young people. Of course, whether dynasty, whether hustler, we fall under young people. What is our problem as young people?
We are the hustlers. Even if you talk of a hustler, can you get them out of young people? Who are the hustlers? It's women and young people. So my appeal is this. Those who call themselves hustlers, I don't have a problem with them, but you can never be advocating for hustlers if you are not a hustler. That's where I have problems. You can never be calling yourself a youth party leader if you are not a youth. That's how we have people who are calling themselves youth leaders or whatever, CS, whatever, and they're not youth. So the reality, if you want to check if something is genuine, start from who is driving that. You cannot be driving accountability if you are a corrupt person.
But in 2017, I remember us talking about Kamona thing, especially some places in the country, Kamona thing. Everyone thought like now we are following someone because but literally speaking, they were never young people.
That's what I'm telling you. So one thing I'm saying here, you have to talk about opportunities. And me, I'm calling young people. Let us not fight with this government. They promised us so many things, they can only bring us wheelbarrows. But they promised us so many things. Job, opportunity.
1.3 million per year.
Yeah. Where?
And stadiums.
Today I'm getting the president is going out to look for over billions of money to finish a 190 kilometer of road with 180 something billion, which is 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1 billion, where there's no industries at all. Everything's there. If you really want to help young people, they are not begging for the money. They are begging for opportunity. Why don't you have those industries running? We'll go there, you see? But you cannot waste my time of studying up to my university level, then you come give me a wheelbarrow, tell me that you'll give me another job later. And that's what I'm telling young people. Don't fight these people. Be the leader. And you have the numbers. Only need to organize yourself. So we will go there. Come 2022, I'm telling you this. The dynasties, those who believe they're dynasty and call themselves dynasty, will line behind their dynasty guy and vote their dynasty and count their votes. Those who believe they're hustlers will line behind their chief hustler and vote their hustler. Those who are young people who believe in young and youth leadership, I'll be leading them there and we'll count the numbers and the votes.
Right, as we're looking for
let me add one something that is, the reality about what we are talking about. The fact is that come 2022, I foresee a situation where youth, with the good information we've given them, with the good, sensitization, with the good outreach, sijui ni kasumba gani huwa inakuja wakati wa election, you find out that these young people are at the forefront, okay, of campaigning for the people who've stolen from them, okay? They'll do social media for these people, they'll campaign, always, so one of the things that we have to do in the creative spaces, I'm advocating for this, is could we be consistent with the information that we give these young people? My friend, the government, the Jubilee regime, give us some time. We began late.
Right.
Okay, the regime we are having, if this regime could be somebody, an individual, huyu ni mtu anaweza kula hata chakula ya mtu mgonjwa. I'm telling you the truth. Somebody who is lying asleep. Because if it's a regime that has taken COVID money, okay, it's a regime that has supplied air and paid for it, oxygen. It is a regime that has squandered everything. What would be left for an ordinary citizen? That's why I'm asking. And these ordinary young people that we are advocating for, I like what he said. What is it that always unites us if it's not crime? Youth. What is it that unites this young man from Kiambaa and that young man in Siaya? What is the rallying point of these people? That is one thing we really need to ask. Where do they meet and speak the same language? The language that is different from Tuwetu, the one that you're talking about. If we are able to get that thing, then it could be quite easy to cause that political revolution we are talking about.
Thank you very much for those good ideas. I think we need to end up on this done. You're writing shots.
Where is my camera?
You can use these.
Okay. We definitely have to look into the face of Kenyans and young people and tell them the truth. The truth is, we are 70%, 75%, a constituency of 75 people. That is enough to, start up a change and start, a political cause. Anybody who approaches you, to ask for your vote, I think it's important to interrogate such in terms of what is in for you. Instead of picking up a panga and, looking for somebody to cut somebody who's been borrowing you salt, I think it's quite important for you to ask yourself, what is it in the manifesto of these people that will secure your jobs, a decent lifestyle, would improve the quality of lifestyle you're having, take your child to education, and generally of your welfare. So I think my message is directly and simple. Engage, participate, question, and make an informed choice.
That's it, done for you.
That's it.
Right, Pigeon, let's get to hear your parting shot.
I'd like to say one thing. Grasa Mashal said sometimes that this world could have not been better. In fact, it's only us as young people who can make the world we think better. We are the only people who can create what we dream of. Because those who are not young are done their time. It's us to take this opportunity. And I'll call upon those engineers to come on board. Let's build our country again. Those jobless engineers come on board. Those young lawyers come on board to come with policies that will build our country again. And anybody who's disappointed, let's come on board with that and let's unite together in one political voice. And I'll welcome you all to Accountability and Transparency Party, where we can chart our future. Let's build our future and forget about this. But if we don't do that, I'm telling you, none and nobody who is not as young as you are will build for you a future. Those seniors, our parents, they will come at the right time to help us cross, but only if we are ready. So let's organize ourselves, let's plan, and let's mobilize. Revolution is loading, but it must be now a peaceful revolution, and that will only be through violence.
Right, many thanks, Pigeon and Dan, for such an informative segment. You've really done it.
Yeah, I think we've done so well. Just to tell them to sanitize and wear a face mask and know that we don't have any other country.
Yeah.
I think I was forgetting that we don't have anywhere to run from, and we are the leaders we've been waiting for, and the foundation of a country is driven by young people. That is the only thing once we remember as youth. Ujana ni moshi, huwa inakuja inapita. So we have what they don't have. What they don't have is tenacity. What they don't have is creativity. What they don't have is the vibrancy of the age. We have them. So I think let's make some changes in it. Yeah.
Thanks so very much, guys, for making time. Right, we say united we stand, divided we fall. It's time, I believe, that young people, we must be united, be a particular force, and change the things that we like them to be changed. It's not about tomorrow, it is about the present time. Many thanks for making time to join us. My name is Karanja Alex. We get to continue with this next time. See you. God bless.